Hey everyone, we're out here at the Tiny Tack House near Seattle, Washington. I'm here today with Chris Tack, and while we already have a full video tour of this small home, make sure to check that out. Right now, we're going to focus on the solar setup. We figured it made the most sense to begin with the solar panels. So here we have 4 panels. Each one can pull in up to 255 watts when it's in direct sunlight. Now, if we come around to the other side, I'll show you more about how we've got everything arranged. All the solar panels connect into this breaker box. Right nearby, we have a grounding rod in place. That's there just in case we ever run into lightning, though that's not super common around here. And then over here, you'll notice this thick cable. It runs up to the front of the house and connects to our main breaker box. Here's where all that power comes into the system. Right here, you can see the heavy-duty cable that goes from the solar panels into this unit. What we have here is a pretty powerful inverter. It's made by OutBack Power, and this one can handle up to 3,600 watts of power. Now, currently, we're only bringing in about 1,020 watts through our panels, but we designed it this way so we can add more panels in the future if we choose. This system is all-in-one. A lot of solar companies only manufacture individual parts, like maybe just the charge controller or just the inverter. But OutBack creates all the necessary components in a single system. Right here is our charge controller. This piece handles all the incoming power and controls how the batteries charge. The inverter itself is located in this lower section. All of the AC connections are right here, while the DC connections are over on this side. Another nice thing is this unit has built-in breakers. We already have a breaker box near the panels, but in the event of a lightning strike or another issue, these internal breakers should trip and help protect the system. The AC breakers located here at the top can be used to shut off power to the house entirely. Now, if you look up top here, you can see all the cables that go into our standard household breaker box. We have 8 separate breakers installed. That's probably more than most tiny houses require, but we wanted the option to turn off specific parts of the house independently. This part here actually includes a built-in web server. It allows me to go online and check out everything that's going on. I can see real-time data from the inverter, including how much power we're taking in and the current charge level of the batteries. Speaking of batteries, right here you can see the 2 thick cables that run from the inverter to our battery storage. We've got 4 large batteries. Each one is 12 volts, and we have them wired together to act like one big 48-volt battery. Altogether, that gives us 260 amp hours of storage. These are sealed lead-acid batteries. They each weigh 172 pounds, so they're definitely not easy to move. One important thing to know about sealed lead-acid batteries is that you generally shouldn't let them drop below about 50% of their charge regularly. Doing so can shorten their lifespan. If you treat them well and don't over-discharge them too often, they can last around 15 years. So the key is just to manage them properly. One really handy feature about this inverter is that it will automatically reconnect to the grid if our battery levels get too low. It's already set up with that programming. So if the voltage drops too far, it will switch over and start pulling from the grid. When I say connected to the grid, it's actually just a regular extension cord over on the side of the house. If it's a cloudy day or we're not making enough solar power, the system will reconnect to grid electricity. It can charge the batteries, supply power to the house, or even do both, depending on what's needed. We worked with an outside company called Sun & Wind to help design our setup. They helped us plan everything out, and part of that process included filling out a solar calculator. We listed every item we planned to use, how much energy each one would use, and how long we'd use them each day. Inside the house, we've tried to stay as energy efficient as possible. All our lighting is LED, so it barely uses any electricity. But we do have a small water heater that pulls quite a bit of power. It's a 4-gallon heater that draws around 1,200 watts. That's one of the higher power items we have. We also have an iMac mounted on the wall, and that uses about 300 watts. Occasionally, we'll run a blender, a hairdryer, and I also have a laptop. But overall, we really tried to keep things minimal. In terms of energy needs, That water heater I mentioned earlier, we wired it into a separate switch so we can turn it off when it's not needed. It only takes about 15 to 20 minutes to warm up the water if it's cold, so we just turn it on when we need hot water and leave it off otherwise. We've also got an electric fridge. It's a basic model that runs on standard 120 volts. It's super low power and only about 4 cubic feet in size, so it's small, but it works great for us. It even has a freezer section on top, which we use. As for heating, we do use an electric heater in the colder months. It's an oil-filled radiator-style unit with 3 heat settings: low, medium, and high. Depending on the setting, it draws 700 watts, 900 watts, or wanting 200 watts. During the winter here in Washington, we just don't get enough sunlight to power the entire house on solar alone. But in the summertime, it's a different story. Last year, we were completely off-grid from around April all the way through November. So during the sunnier part of the year, this setup gives us everything we need. Now, is this kind of system something I'd recommend for every tiny house? Not necessarily. The inverter we're using is definitely more powerful than most tiny homes would need. We chose it because we wanted extra room to expand in the future. Eventually, we might add more solar panels or extra batteries. For now, though, it's much more than we actually use. Many people who go with solar in a tiny house choose to get gas appliances instead. For instance, they might go with a propane on-demand water heater or a gas-powered fridge. There are plenty of appliance choices today that are made specifically to keep power usage low, so you don't need to go as big as we did with your solar if you're using those kinds of energy-efficient appliances. Also, this system wasn't cheap. All in, it cost us about $12,000. However, there were some federal tax rebates available at the time. After doing some research, we found out we qualified. So after applying those incentives, the total came out to around $8,000. That includes everything: the consulting from sun and wind, the panels, batteries, wiring, inverter, and all the other gear. If I had to give one main piece of advice for anyone considering solar, it would be this: plan carefully. You really have to think about how much power you'll actually need and how much sunlight you'll be able to get in your specific location. Here in Washington, solar works really well in the summer. But in winter, the days are short and cloudy, so it's a lot harder to stay off-grid. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Thanks for checking out our system, and I hope this helped give you a better idea of what's involved in setting up solar for a small space like a tiny house.